Hey everybody, Cinema Sick this year with another weekly watch video for you, where we take a look at all the titles that I've recently been watching, and I briefly discuss them. So like always, let's get right down to it, and take a look at everything that I've recently checked out. So the first title we have here is actually one I watched like 2 weeks ago, but for whatever reason I forgot to talk about it in my last weekly watch video, so here it is, and that is The Triumph and Tragedy of World Class Championship Wrestling. This was really interesting. Like I've said before, I'm not some big wrestling buff. I'm not really all that into it, but I love history, and I do enjoy early 80s and early 90s wrestling that I used to watch with my father. I do enjoy that, but anything past that, not so much. So this is definitely very early wrestling. This is before WWF really became to be known as what it is. This is very, very, very early wrestling, and it was very interesting to watch this. Loved it. A great and very long documentary, but very well done. Definitely enjoyable. Pretty crazy to hear about. The Von Erich family. It is insane how many of them had killed themselves. Just crazy. There has to be some mental issues within that family. There's something. There's no way that there's that many suicides, and the guy, basically kind of eating himself to death. The one guy, just, there's got to be some issues within that family. There's got to be some sort of mental disturbance within that family. There has to be. I can't imagine why that would happen. So crazy story. My wife's not into wrestling at all, and she actually started watching this with me because she started hearing about these the Von Erichs dying off, and she's like, what is with this? And she actually went to school for psychology, so of course she's like, wow, what's there's got to be something mentally wrong with this family. And she started really start thinking about the family and psychoanalyzing them and stuff like that. So she actually kind of ended up getting in the story too, because it's just the crazy tragedies of this family. So very interesting, but a cool watch. Definitely something I recommend, whether you're into wrestling or not. It's a very interesting watch, and it's great history. So check this one out. It was a lot of fun in a weird kind of way. So next title I checked out was It's Complicated. This I really enjoyed. Great story. Meryl Streep, Steve Martin, Alec Baldwin. Great story, especially Steve Martin. Big fan of his. I love just Meryl Streep and Alec Baldwin. They're a divorced couple, but then they kind of get back together. But then Meryl Streep starts seeing Steve Martin, and just the crazy love triangle that goes on there. It's a very interesting love triangle comedy. It has some very funny moments in it, very enjoyable moments in it. The only downfall is the end. I don't want to give really too much away, but let's just say I like to think that Meryl Streep and Steve Martin do end up getting together in the end. I would definitely like to think that. It makes me happy to think that, because they seem so great together. So good movie. Definitely check it out. If you love romantic comedies, this is one you gotta see. Then I watched an awesome horror movie, and that was Motel Hell. That was a great movie. I'd heard such good things about it. It was definitely something I wanted to check out, and it was a hell of a lot of fun. Very reminiscent of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's got a lot of similarities. In fact, look up some history on the movie. There's even some linkage to Tobe Hooper and stuff like that with this movie, which I found very interesting. But very kind of Texas Chainsaw Massacre-ish. This guy and his what is he? Is it his sister, I believe? I'm not going crazy. I think it was his sister. I hope I'm not getting that wrong. But they own a hotel, and basically they have there's this road nearby where they set up traps and make cars, motorcycles, stuff go off the road, and they take these bodies and they farm them, and they end up serving them. They make meat out of them. They smoke them, and the guy who runs this hotel is known for his world famous smoked meat, and it's actually human meat. It's pretty crazy. Just a crazy cannibalistic sort of story here. It's nuts. And just this guy farming these people, and he literally farms them. I mean, he puts them in the ground up to their neck and slits their throats so they can't scream and yell or anything like that. Pretty crazy. Digs them up when he needs them, smokes them. Very nuts, but very cool. Just a very, and no pun intended, because this movie's called Deranged, but no, it's a very deranged story. Unfortunately, it is kind of a dark comedy, which I was a little bummed about, because from what I read a little history on this movie. Apparently, it was supposed to be really, really dark and really twisted originally, and then kind of like transformed and got transformed into a dark comedy. Certainly would have loved this more had it been more serious and just a straight up like hardcore horror movie. Would have been really cool. But regardless, it is still a great movie, a really, really fun watch. If you love just cheesy horror movies, check it out. It is so much fun. Again, kind of twisted, deranged. I mean, we're talking guy smoking people, making meat out of them, and really cool scene with him running around with a pig on his, like a pig's head on his head, with a big ass chainsaw. Really cool. Check out Motel Hell. And then I finished up the complete third season of Everybody Loves Raymond. Like I've said before, it's a great series. I don't really have too much more to say about this, and I haven't already said about the first 2 seasons, but it's very enjoyable. I love it. As somebody who's married, I can really relate to this, and now that I have a kid on the way, I'm sure I'm going to relate even more to it. So if you like sitcoms, check it out. Then a movie I was pretty disappointed with, actually, and that was Red Tails. I was really intrigued and I really wanted to see this because I love Tuskegee Airmen. That was a great movie, so I really wanted to see this one, and it just, my problem with it was that it wasn't told very well. It's an interesting enough story, though I wonder how much of it was embellished, because like it just seems like so much. I mean, there's certainly bad things that happen in this movie, but there seemed like a lot of right things that happen in this movie, which makes me go, was it really, like, I expected more tragedy. I don't know how truthful this was. I'm not sure, but I thought the story wasn't told very well. It just kind of jumped around too much. It didn't really flow all that well. I couldn't really get too invested in the story because of how it was told. I thought the acting was pretty piss poor, which I don't really blame the actors for, because I've seen a lot of these actors in other movies and they do a fine enough job. I just think maybe it was what they were given. They couldn't really work with too much, because the whole time I'm thinking, oh, like that guy's performance and that guy's performance and that guy's performance and that guy's performance, it's just awful. There was hardly any good acting in this movie, if you ask me. I just thought a lot of it was really bad. A lot of it, like I always say, when you act, you shouldn't seem like you're acting. I shouldn't go, you're acting. I should just get into your character and think you're really doing this stuff. No, I felt like all these guys were acting, unfortunately. And then we got that weird love story, which I'm sure was just BS. I have a feeling that was just thrown into the movie. I don't know, could have been real. I'm not sure, but the one soldier falling in love with the Italian girl, and then of course I don't think I need to spoil this for you. You know he's gonna die in the end. Of course, he's the one guy who falls in love with this girl, and he asks her to marry her right before he goes on this very dangerous mission. Come on, what the hell do you think is gonna happen? He dies, of course. You see it coming miles and miles and miles away. So I was disappointed with this. I really didn't think it was all that great. I mean, I didn't think it was horrible. It wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen, but I thought this movie could have been done much, much, much better. Like I said, story wasn't told very well. Acting was just eh. So all in all, not that good. If you want to see a really good movie on the Tuskegee Airmen, watch the Tuskegee Airmen. It's a much better movie, but it was just all right. And then I checked out Cape Cod, Then and Now. Definitely something I wanted to watch right away. As you guys know, I just picked this one up. Definitely something I had to see. It was a really cool documentary. It talks about Cape Cod, the very beginnings of Cape Cod, how it came to be. Everything from like how it was actually formed by like glaciers and stuff, to when it became like a vacation destination. You know, I mean, everything from just basically actually starting out as like a fishing town, then becoming a vacation destination, and just how it's evolved over the years, how it used to be and how it is now, as it says, then and now. So a very cool documentary. I've never been to Cape Cod. I would love to go someday, but I'm just a big history buff. And this is a really cool watch. It was very interesting. It really piqued my interest. I loved hearing about everything Cape Cod, about what it used to be, how it came to be what it is today. Very cool documentary. If you're into documentaries and you can get a hold of this one, check it out. Then another not so good movie with Wide Awake. Yeah, I was interested in seeing this one because I love Rosie O'Donnell. I actually do enjoy Rosie O'Donnell movies. A lot of people don't like her. I actually do tend to enjoy her films. This was pretty bad though. This is a movie by M. Night. Yes, M. Night Shyamalan. This is one of his movies, written and directed by him. It's a movie about a kid whose grandfather dies, and the kid basically goes on a mission trying to find God, basically, because he wants to find out if his grandfather's okay and whatnot. And that's the story. It's not very good. The thing that intrigued me most of this is the fact that the kid's in like a Catholic school, and he's going to the Mary Mercy. Was it Mary Mercy? I can't think of what the hell it's called. It's the all boys school. Well, anyway, a girl I used to date, so an ex girlfriend of mine that I used to date. I dated for like 4 years. This was like all through like high school and like the last few years of high school, and then like all through college when I used to date this girl. And she went to high school at Mary Mercy Academy, which is the like all girl high school that's like right next to this all boys elementary school. So really cool. I was like, I've been to this school. I've been there. I've been on that campus. They were like showing bits and pieces of things where I'm like, I know where that is. I've been there. It was pretty cool. But of course, typical M. Night movie where it's shot like in a Philadelphia area, of course. So plenty of stuff you might recognize in this movie if you're from the Philadelphia area. But all in all, that was the most interesting part of this movie. Well, and the fact that Dana Delaney's in it. I love myself some Dana Delaney. She's really hot. But anyway, so that was it. The movie was pretty bad. The fact that Rosie O'Donnell's even featured on the front is ridiculous. She's in the movie less than other people. She plays a nun. There are other nuns that are featured more prominently in this movie than Rosie O'Donnell is. I don't know why she's slapped on the front there. It says, Rosie O'Donnell is hilarious. She's in the movie for like 15 minutes, 10 minutes. I think maybe like 10 minutes top. Maybe 15 minutes. Probably more like 10 minutes is all she's featured in this movie. It's ridiculous. So it wasn't very good. Just another M. Night flop. Honestly, the only really good movie I think M. Night's ever really done is The Sixth Sense. I also liked Unbreakable, but really Sixth Sense is it. Village and The Signs I even thought were just very mediocre. I wasn't really into those either. So another M. Night stinker here. Not a big fan of this. The ending of this is super cheesy with... I'm not even... you know what? Screw it. I'll give it away. Who cares? It's a shitty movie. I wouldn't even recommend seeing this one. The kid kind of... There's this kid who sort of like joins their class, but if you really start paying attention, you realize he's never like there. It's only our main character really ever seeing him, and of course, in the end, you find out it was God come down to earth, and he tells him that his grandfather's okay, and he goes, "Thank you," and he goes, "Wait, what?" And he turns around, the kid's gone through like a sunbeam. It's fucking stupid. So don't see this movie. It was crap. And then I checked out a movie that I really wanted to rewatch. I've only ever seen this movie once, and I loved it when I first saw it, and that is Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Watch this one in 3D. It was fantastic. Love this film. Very happy to watch it for a second time. It's a great CGI animated film. Has a great story, a great message. I love all the characters. Very funny moments in it. That monkey there reaching for the mustache cracks me up every single time. So really, really good movie. If you like CGI animated films, this one's one you got to check out. Like I said, the story is fantastic about this scientist who's always messing things up. He ends up creating this this machine that ends up creating like these weird food weather patterns, and just the craziness that comes from that. It seems like it's like this great invention at first, and then things start to go bad, and it's not such a great invention anymore. And it's him basically finding kind of out who he is and coming to terms like with his father and stuff like that. So very interesting movie. Definitely check it out. Again, if you love CGI animated films, watch this one. You won't regret it. But one you might regret a little bit more is Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2 in 3D. Now, not a bad movie. I would not say this is a bad movie. It was enjoyable. I did enjoy it. But it was a kind of a weak sequel. It was just okay. I just thought it was all right. Like, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, I loved. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2 was just mediocre. So it definitely felt like a sequel. It wasn't nearly as strong, but the story was okay. If you've seen the first one, why not check out the second one? It's at least worth a watch, maybe even worth an own if you're really into CGI animated films. But all in all, I would just say it was mediocre. The story was just okay. It was just all right. I love the crazy scientist in this one though, who ends up being evil. He was pretty funny. I did enjoy that. One of the coolest scenes in here, I know it's going to sound weird. There's this, our main character invents this contraption that finds his like weather food making machine. He needs to find it. And it shoots this laser beam out. I love this one scene. It's just a little touch that I gotta give kudos to, for the people who, animated this movie, was that he's got this helmet on his head and he's like held on like handlebars, and there's this laser. And he turns around to talk to his girlfriend, and the laser kind of goes up and over his head. Okay, pretty cool. But as he's standing there, and not the camera, but you're facing him. He's talking, he's saying his lines, and the the bad guy scientist is behind him. I love that the beam goes over his head too, but then every now and then, when our main character turns just a little bit, it flickers like over to the side. So 1 minute the beam's going over the scientist's head, and then every now and then when our main character turns a little bit, the beam goes like around his head like this. It's just, I know it sounds kind of weird, but I just thought it was a really interesting touch. It just, I would say the fact that the movie wasn't very good, but the animation was fantastic. The animation in this was really good, and it's little touches like that. Little touches of just a laser beam kind of going from over somebody's head to around somebody's head on the side, just because of slight turns. It's something that didn't need to be done, but something that you might pick up on and go, that's just interesting. A little bit of extra work was put in there. I thought that was pretty cool. So animation, I gotta say, was beautiful. The picture was beautiful. The colors were beautiful. The animation looked fantastic. It's just that the story was just mediocre. So definitely see Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. It's great, but you don't necessarily need to see Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2. But if you do want to see it, I would at least recommend it. It was worth a watch. And then I checked out classic albums, Nirvana, Nevermind. I'm a huge Nirvana fan, so this is definitely something I wanted to watch right away, and this was great. Like I said, love Nirvana, and this year talks all about the album Nevermind, what went into making it, and all that good stuff. Very cool. They do talk about like the beginnings of Nirvana too, which I find kind of interesting. This story's a lot of basically just like the beginnings of Nirvana up to like, you know, Nevermind, the success Nevermind had. It doesn't go past that any, but it's definitely a very early story of Nirvana, because they do talk about how Nirvana formed. They talk about, you know, the life of Kurt Cobain a little bit before Nirvana formed. They talk about the album Bleach, and then they talk about the album Nevermind, how it became this big, huge thing, and basically became like one of the, you know, like one of the greatest and most influential rock albums of all time, which I would definitely agree with. So it's a great album and a really cool history. I love all the interviews here. Everybody from Chris Novoselic and Dave Grohl. They talked to let's see, who else they talked to. People from like Dave Geffen Company and Sub Pop. It's just a really well done documentary. So I'd say if you're into Nirvana, this is definitely something to check out. Very cool, and a very good documentary on the Nevermind album. Very awesome. And then the last title here I checked out was The Great American Songbook. This was also another fantastic watch. I did have some problems with it, but all in all, it was great. What I assumed going into this was that it was going to be very much about music in movies. Because that's what I thought. It's a Warner Bros. Title. Okay, it's going to be all about musicals and stuff like that. Music within movies. That's what it's going to be. But it actually, surprisingly, wasn't. This was a lot more about just music in general throughout the ages. It was really, really cool to see that, and just hear about like just American, the history of American music. Everything from, you know, things like Yankee Doodle and the Star Spangled Banner all the way up into music like music from the 70s and stuff. That was really, really cool. Only downfall with it is they kind of stopped. Like I'd say maybe around like the 60s going into the 70s, they sort of stopped there with music, and then you didn't hear anything else. So I really wish they would have kept going and talked more about music instead of stopping where they did. That was my only downfall with it. But all in all, it was a pretty cool documentary just about American music. It was great. And also found it really interesting that the way they talked about the music was by showing you clips from movies, which was pretty neat. They'd show you a whole bunch of different, of course, Warner Brothers, and probably Warner Brothers and MGM titles, and they would talk about types of music, and they'd show you like little clips from movies that feature that style of music. So it was very interesting the way they went about showing you all these different types of music. It was really cool. So a great documentary, as Warner Brothers documentaries usually are. They're usually always pretty damn good, and this one certainly was. So if you like music, if you like musicals, you want to hear a great documentary on American music, this is something you gotta check out. Just again, another great Warner Brothers documentary. So there you go, guys. That was it. So I pretty much recommend everything except for Red Tails and Wide Awake. Everything else I watched was pretty good. I mean, even Cloudy with a Chance on Meatballs 2 wasn't bad. It was definitely worth a watch. But yeah, Red Tails, not very good. Like I said, I thought the story was told pretty badly, and the acting wasn't very good either. And Wide Awake was just a stupid M. Night movie about a kid trying to find God, and it was just boring as hell. That was the main issue with it. It was pretty damn boring, so I wouldn't recommend it. But everything else, definitely check it out. So anyway, guys, that's it. So like I always say, if you like this video, please give me a like. If you're not already subbed, please do. And if you're not already over at cinemasickness.com, head on over there, click on the shop tab, purchase yourself a Cinema Stick This sticker or a Cinema Stick This bun. I'd really appreciate the support. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.